Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a simple autumn basket with some flowers and pumpkins in it. We're going to make it really simplified and kind of impressionist style tonight. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat tonight, so you can ask questions live while I'm painting. Let's get started. Alrighty, I've got a 12 by 12 inch canvas here. I've painted it with a coat of Quinacridone Magenta and burnt Sienna in equal parts. Just a very light coat of it. And I added a little bit of glazing liquid to make it stick since I watered it down so much. As far as brushes go, with the Impressionist style painting, I like to use kind of a stiffer bristled brush. So I'm going to be using the Princeton Aspen brushes tonight. Got a variety of different sizes, bright, flat, Filbert, and a couple of rounds here. And I'll mention those as I use them. Let's go over colors really quick. Carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, Indian yellow hue, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, and cobalt teal, unbleached titanium, titanium white, and gloss glazing liquid. So tonight we're going to kind of focus on our image is very neutral. So I want to show you how to mix neutral colors. Can you change over, hon? Thank you. Change over so that you can use like any color pretty much and make a neutral. So I'll be showing you that, how to kind of gray out your colors, no matter what colors you choose to use for your painting, if you want that neutral kind of look. All right. We've got a basket here in the middle. I'm going to move it up just a little bit and kind of figure out how big I want it. I don't want it to go up past the halfway mark, so we have plenty of room for our flowers. So I think I'm just going to kind of mark sort of top and bottom and then round it out here. So that'll be sort of our basket. Now, if we want a handle, we can put that, or we can put another flower here. I'm not really sure. I was kind of sketching out earlier, and then I erased everything because I wasn't quite sure I liked what I had done. So the basket is going to kind of go around here. The way I took the photograph, you could kind of see inside of it. But of course, we're not going to see this back side of it, but it does help us kind of know sort of where to place our leaves and things so we don't put them too low or whatever. So they're all going to be coming out here, and I want to add more stuff to this. So we'll put a pumpkin here, and I think I might make it even kind of coming over the edge of the basket handle. I'm still not sure if I want to do a flower here or if I want to put the basket handle. I kind of do like the handle. And then I have these little wood beads that are coming down here, and the little tassels. Now I'm not going to do a whole lot of sketches because I am going to be painting in the background over this pink. And the reason I'm doing pink in the background, I kind of was considering doing yellow, but I think the pink is going to give some vibrancy to the neutral tones. So it's just going to give a little bit more energy to our colors. Neutrals can be kind of flat. So you have to, we'll let this color kind of peek through just a little bit, and it'll kind of just bump up the vibrancy of all the colors that we put on top of it. All right, so these are kind of side by side in the picture, so I'm going to make this one a little taller so that they're a little bit more. This is a basket in my house. I was just trying to come up with ideas and was like, you know what, that looks like it would be fun to paint. So, so it got stuck in here. All right, and then, I don't know, we could probably fit in something here. I'm not really sure what, but, and leaves. And I think I want some leaves up here between these two and maybe coming off right in there. Okay, so there we go. There's our non-sketch. We didn't really sketch a whole lot there, but you kind of get at least an idea of the placement of things. And then let's go ahead and paint in our background. So our first neutral we'll start with Unbleached Titanium. That's already kind of got a little bit of a yellowish tone. If you want to mix your own Unbleached Titanium, you don't have it, you can take titanium white and a little bit of black and a little bit of burnt sienna and yellow oxide. So those colors will make burnt Unbleached Titanium. Black, burnt sienna, and yellow oxide. So it's got a little bit of a rosy tone. It's actually redder than you would think because of that burnt sienna in it. So I'm going to use that as a base, and that kind of reddish yellow tone with a little bit of blue is going to be a nice background color, I think. And then if we want to neutralize it a little bit more, one of my favorite ways of neutralizing blues is to use burnt umber. Burnt umber is just a really great brown that instantly tones things down. So it's kind of my go-to when I want to make a neutral color. Look at how nice that gray blue it is. It's not too blue and it's not too blah. It's got a really, really nice tone to it because of the blue in there that we added. It's not just a plain gray that you would get from mixing white and black. I think learning to mix grays is really important. It will make your artwork a lot more, give it a little bit more life, I guess, than just like black and white, you know. Not that black and white are bad, it's just, why not use a little bit of a color, you know? Still reads as gray, but it's got a little bit of a warmth, or in this case coolness, with the blue tones. You can see that how that red is affecting things too in the background. It's kind of peeking through a little bit, and I'm not putting it on too thick here, so that a little bit of that red is kind of shining through. It's going to make a really nice background for us. Hopefully I mixed enough of this. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and kind of go in on where my petals are going to be. I do want this color to be dark enough for my petals to show up. This might be a little bit light actually now that I'm looking at my background, so I might get a little bit more of the blue and burnt umber and just kind of around my flowers here. Make it a little bit darker so that when I do put those lighter flowers in, they'll have a little bit of a contrast. That'll be important. Hope you guys are doing well. If you're new to our channel, welcome. Really excited to have you join us. Hope you enjoy our live chat.
Well, thanks.
Got some awesome people in chat that come and join us every week.
It was our northern neighbors' Thanksgiving holiday yesterday.
Was it? Oh, happy. What do they call it? Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Happy Thanksgiving.
And
That's
I
awesome.
forgot it again this year. And last year I was like, I need to remember that next year. And so, of course, I forgot.
Is it as big of a deal in other countries as it is in the U.S.?
Well, I'm sure they're thankful
Canada?
for something other than what we are. I mean, they're thankful that they're our neighbors, I guess.
Right.
I'll probably get some hate mail
fighting
now.
words. Could get in trouble. All right, I'm going to use some of this gray blue here too. I noticed there's a kind of a cast shadow over here. I'm going to get a little bit of glaze because this background is getting a little bit sticky, and the glaze will help make it. All right, there we go. A little bit of dark back there. Let's bring this in here. And when you paint this way, just do small sections at a time. So any of this I can blend into while it's wet, but once it starts to dry, I don't want to mess with it. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that unbleached titanium and then just kind of work into those edges and blend out And I'm really not blending necessarily. I'm just kind of dabbing over it. And you can see the kind of nice brush stroke that I get here, the painterly effect. But I don't want to let that dry before I paint over it. Otherwise, I won't be able to blend them that way. Okay, and then I'm just going to work my way up into this corner here. Get a little bit of darker color again. Leave as much of that red showing as you want. I think it looks really pretty, but that's just me, so.
So in case you're wondering, there, Thanksgiving just is celebrating the harvest and other blessings over the past year.
Nice.
According to Wiki Google.
I like it.
And we know we can trust everything they say.
Making sure my edges are at least kind of somewhat covered so that when I paint the sides I don't have a gap there. All right, so I ended up having my edge like right in there somewhere. So just want to bring that down to about the same spot. This is another reason why I like to use these brushes, because I really sometimes get in there and really scrub in. And if you do this with a soft brush, you could damage it. So these brushes can take a lot of abuse. Don't worry about ruining them. Okay, so nice. I like that a lot. That's a really pretty background there. And then for the foreground, I'm going to go with a more coral color, but I still want to make it kind of neutral. So I'm going to use the Unbleached Titanium. I'm going to mix up a lot of it because I ended up having to mix it like 3 times for the foreground, or for the upper part there. Make a little bit more than I think I need. So I'm going to use Burnt Sienna, which is the color that I used in here, and a little bit of my magenta, so maybe not quite as red. And that Burnt Sienna will be a kind of an orangey tone. And then depending on how pink I want it, or how coral or like salmon toned, is how much of that magenta I'll add. And I might even add just a tiny touch of like a Indian Yellow Hue to make it a little bit more vibrant. Okay, and just kind of adjust it as you go. Little tiny differences make a big difference. With these lighter colors, you don't want to go in with too much. It's better just to kind of make small adjustments than to try to mix a bunch of the main color in with white. You always want to start with your white and add little bits of color to that, and that way you won't be wasting paint. But I do have this area here that I need to, I don't know why I painted that in, because I need to have a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to use a little bit of the magenta and my Burnt Sienna, which was that kind of base for this, right? Then I'm going to add a little bit of the shadow color, which was that Burnt Umber and Ultramarine Blue. So I'm going to use that for my shadow and just put it all along that basket there. It actually works to put it on top or with that lighter color, because then I can just kind of blend it out a little bit like that. Okay.
So how are you so good at matching the colors?
Matching the colors?
Yeah, look at the reference photo and the background, and they look like almost spot on.
It's lots of time spent painting, I think, mainly. Over time you just kind of get a sense of colors. But it helps if you kind of look at the overall color. And sometimes you can kind of use it like a color picker tool. Like if you really can't figure it out, you can take a photograph of it and use one of those photo editing programs.
Okay.
And, select the color, and it'll show you on the map of colors kind of where it falls. That can be helpful. But mainly it's just kind of trial and error over years of, painting and just kind of figuring it out as I go. Sometimes a color next to a color, like sometimes it depends on what color in your photograph is next to this. So, if it was next to another, say a green or something like that had was opposite on the color wheel, it might look more vibrant than it really is. Or if it's next to a yellow or something else, it might change the tone. Or if it's next to a darker color, it'll look darker or brighter than it really is. Sometimes.
Yeah, I remember you showed me
it's really interesting.
Optical illusion.
Yeah. It depends on kind of what's around it. So sometimes I'll get, into a painting and realize that, my colors aren't dark enough because of whatever's around them, just made them seem darker than they were, or vice versa. It just depends on, if you're putting down a color against a very light background, it's going to look dark. That's why I start with this palette in the medium gray, because then I can kind of judge sort of my values a little bit better and can tell, if my colors that I'm mixing are lighter or darker than the background. Then I kind of know if I'm getting my colors as dark as I need them to be.
So it's kind of like us.
What?
When we stand next to each other, I look brighter and you look and you look duller.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Exactly.
Hashtag truth.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be offended by that or not. I can't really tell what.
No, you make me brighter and I make you duller. Or dumber, I guess is a more accurate adjective.
I would think that I would look. Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Uh-oh. Remember, it's a family show.
Kind of putting a little bit of a shadow there. I don't really know if I got it in the right spot or not, but
Who cares?
yeah, it's close enough.
Whatever.
All right, so there we go. Nice and soft tones. Nothing too harsh so far. I definitely think I can darken these shadows up quite a bit, but I can glaze those later, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to wash that out really good. And then in this area where my basket is, I'm going to go ahead and go in with a dark burnt umber, maybe add a little bit of blue. That blue will help make it kind of gray. We're all about the grays tonight. Having this darker color underneath when we put means we can kind of just dry brush on our highlights on our basket. It'll save us a lot of work. We won't have to put in all the little dark nooks and crannies that are in here. They'll already be there, and we can just kind of lightly brush over the top with the lighter colors, and then it will do the work for us. I'm going to get a little bit more blue and do a little bit more blue on this side. Maybe our shadow side. Our light's coming from this direction. How's everybody doing in chat tonight?
I think everybody's doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah. Our Canadian friends are in a food coma recovery stage, so they're doing all right.
They're not chatting too much
At
tonight.
least one of them can't remember what day it is, so that's good. No, everybody's doing well.
Good. Good deal.
I have a question about brushes, but I can save that to the end. if you
Okay.
want to.
Well, what is it?
Well, they want to know. You want me to put up on screen?
Sure.
Okay. Oh man, I'm so excited! I get to use my computer stuff. Boom.
All right. I have a lot. You need to move that up so I can read it,
Oh.
please. Hiding down there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Sorry. How's that?
Better. I have a lot of brushes, but I'm missing some large one. Every time I order a variety of rounds, they arrive as these skinny things. Help, what are your favorite large round and Filberts, Angela? Yeah, you kind of, you know what you can do is, I know Princeton brush. I don't know what kind of brushes you're ordering, but I know if you go to Princeton Brush's website, they actually have all of the brush sizes listed in millimeters, I think. So it'll tell you exactly how wide certain brushes are, because like a 2 in this brush might be different than a 2 in a different brush, you know. So it's hard to tell by just the numbers. So I hate to tell you get this number, because you just never know what it's gonna be in other brushes. But I do like the my favorite size round is kind of not that one, is a number 2 in the, well, if I can find it. Where are you? Hiding right there. Number 2 in the 6100 series, which is equal to the number 4 in the VelvetTouch line. So those both are about the same size. I don't know if you can see that. I'll put them against there. You can see it. They're about the same size. This one's a little bit pointier. This one's a little firmer. So I use them both, but for different things. And then they have one here, the number 2 is the same size as this one in the Aspen, and I'll be using that one too, but this one's much, much firmer. This one's a lot softer. So softer brushes, better for fine details and lines. Firmer brushes are better for making juicy brush strokes. So, yeah. All right, I'm just gonna kind of put this color sort of in between here. I guess I need it on the handle too. I forgot the handle. So let's just go ahead and kind of darken up some of that area. It doesn't look like much right now, but we'll get it there. And then in the center of my flowers, I kind of want them to be sort of a dark purple, maroon kind of color. So I'm going to use burnt umber, a little bit of burnt umber to tone it down, and magenta and ultramarine blue. And that will make a really nice dark purple. And if it's a little too saturated, you can add a little bit of black to darken it, deepen it even more. So let's see, we wanted our one sunflower to be right here. I'm going to kind of do the center of it in an oval, kind of pointing out that way. And then this one is kind of going to be down here, and I'm going to make it down a little bit lower than the other one, somewhere in here. There we go. Doesn't look like much so far, but we're gonna get it there. Trust me, I'll help you through the whole thing. And don't panic when you get to this stage, because it's really common to do that, especially when you're first new to painting. You'll kind of get to a point at some point in your painting where you're just like, this must be wrong. I'm pretty sure this is not right.
It doesn't look anything like it.
Exactly.
There's no light browns. There's no
No.
yellows.
But we've got to put in these background. You're building the foundation of your house. If you don't put in the structure of the foundation, when you put all your lighter colors on top, they're going to be flat. They won't have any depth. So you have to build up with acrylics. With watercolor, you do the exact opposite. And you leave all your light areas and you build slowly to the dark. But with acrylics, where they're opaque, a lot of them. I mean, some colors aren't, but the ones when we're putting our colors on top, they're going to be going over opaquely, and so we can get all this really nice layering. And we can put in our light colors on top of all these darker ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and then we're working from back to front. So I'm trying to see kind of what colors I'm seeing in the background, what I'm seeing in between my flowers, all these little dark nooks and crannies and things. I may even need to go a little bit darker in some places. And we'll probably go ahead and put our basket in as soon as I still have some wet spots here, so I'm just waiting for my basket to dry a little bit more. I can go ahead and put in a little bit more of my shadowing too here, so I can grab some of this dark blue and a little bit of glaze and just put that in over the top here, right up underneath everything. And I'm not going to put my shadows of these little things because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to place them yet. So I'm just going to kind of dab that on and dab it on the wall too. And it's going all the way out here. This is just that ultramarine blue and burnt umber again. It's a gray, but it can go a little bit more blue depending on, how much blue you add, and it can go warmer and more brown if you add more burnt umber. So it's really great gray because it's very versatile. Is it versatile or versatile? I don't know. Versatile?
Tomato. But for sure it is aunt.
Aunt?
Aunt, not aunt.
Okay. Whatever. It's a long-standing battle. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use this 6 Filbert. And let's go ahead and do this pumpkin that's up here. I think it's kind of far enough back that the flowers are over the top of it and things. So it's kind of it's actually not a pumpkin. It's actually like a woven pumpkin. So we can do a regular pumpkin if you want, or we can do the woven one. I don't mind either one. We can make it kind of a little bit of a white pumpkin. I think I might do that. Make it sort of just a little white pumpkin instead of the woven. But let me think. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber here. I'm trying to decide what undercolor I want to use, and I think I'm going to use kind of more of a brown, I think. I think I'm just going to use that ultramarine or the burnt umber here. So I'm going to use that first and kind of base in our pumpkin shape overall. So it's going to have these little lobes coming in. And we're looking at it down the front. The center is like right in here. Put the center in if it helps you. Kind of everything is going to be facing towards that. So all these little lobes are going to come in and point to that center area. See that? Round it out. Okay. This brush is kind of big for this, but I'm wanting to use it so that I don't get too fussy with my brush strokes. All right. There we go. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now. And we do a little bit of highlight right here, but we'll let that set and we'll put other details in here. So let's go ahead and do some leaves and things out back here, kind of hanging out the sides. And I think I want them a little bit more golden. So if you want to take a color, so here we've got our color yellow, and I want to neutralize it, you find the opposite on the color wheel. If you don't want to use burnt umber or a gray, what you do is find the opposite of it on the color wheel. So grab a color wheel, and we can look and see sort of the color that we're using is like a yellow orange here. This is Indian Yellow Hue. I think I've mixed a little bit of that unbleached titanium to it, but basically blue violet would be its opposite, which would be ultramarine blue. Is kind of a blue violet. It's got a little bit violet tones. And we're going to get like a green here if we mix these two together. And then to counteract the green, we can add just a little bit of the next closest red. And then we'll get kind of a more neutral brownish, and depending on how much of these two we use. Blue violet, we're making it a little bit more violet by adding the magenta. We'll get a neutral color, and so we can use this as our yellow base, and this will be kind of our shadow color for our yellow, and then when we use the yellow on top of it, it'll be that much more vibrant. So let's go ahead and do some leaves out here with this color. And I have added a little bit of the white to them, so they're a little bit light. And if I want to, I might need them a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and mix a little bit darker tone without the white. So a little bit of the magenta, a little bit of the ultramarine blue with that Indian Yellow Hue. And that is called the complementary, using the complementary color to mix a neutral. There we go. Isn't that a pretty color? Very easy. And then so you can use the burnt umber here if we want. I need to darken it up a little bit more even, I think. I'm going to use a little bit of that. Just kind of a little bit of, that seems a little stiff. I don't know. Don't want it so perfect. And mess it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Isn't that nice? It's a nice neutral. All right, and then I'm seeing the basket around the side here, so I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber, and I'm going to mix it with this color and a little bit of the unbleached titanium. So just using the same color, a little bit of the burnt umber, and actually get a little bit more of the burnt umber because I think this comes up a little bit farther here, this basket. I remember saying that basket kind of comes up around, I'm seeing some basket right here. It may not be right, but no, I am seeing it. It's like this. It's coming across right here. And this is the handle right there. Kind of like that. Okay. And that's the side of the basket underneath that pumpkin. Okay. Again, doesn't look like much yet. We'll get it there. All right, let's use some more of this neutral. It's almost kind of a green, isn't it? I guess it's that yellow and the blue. And if our yellow was maybe a little bit more orange, we would use more blue, but because it's kind of in here, it's probably closer to this yellow. So we probably need to use a little bit more of the violet, a little bit more of that magenta color in with it to truly neutralize it so that it's not so green. So that's what I've done here. Added a little bit more of the magenta to it. So let's go ahead and add some, just going to add some greenery and things off the side here. Nothing too formal, just kind of some random brush strokes. Trying to keep it loose. I feel like I got a little bit too fussy with that one. Okay, so that looks good. Little light loose brush strokes.
And when you're doing that, you're twisting the brush and changing the angle and all that
Yes.
stuff. You're just not keeping it going the same direction all the time.
Right. I'm like literally, and I'm using a Filbert, so the Filbert's gonna always kind of naturally have like a leafy shape to it. So it's a good brush to do this with because it'll kind of naturally give me some of these sort of loose leafy like brush strokes. All right, so let's use the Cobalt Teal. And I don't want it to be too bright. So our opposite of the Cobalt Teal is going to be a red orange, which we don't have in our palette, but we can kind of substitute maybe a little bit of the yellow and magenta here, these two, and make ourselves kind of a orangey color and see what that does with that Cobalt Teal. Right, so we're just making a variety of. Is Fitzy out there crying? I think Fitzy's making. Is that him?
I don't know. Spencer's here.
I know, but I don't think he realizes people are home. Maybe our dog.
I'll go check.
Yeah, see if that's him making that noise or not, or if maybe it's just a bird.
So.
I just keep hearing it like a cry. High pitched.
You can get down.
Oh, he's on the bed. That's what it was. He's stuck on Spencer's bed. I knew it. Yeah, stuck, quote unquote. Are you being a baby? You being a big baby?
So we have this like foam staircase so that he can get up on the bed easily. And then he gets up on the bed, and then if you're not there to watch him,
Right.
he won't climb down the stairs.
Right.
I think he had a bad.
He must have
one
come
bad
down hard.
incident, and
Yep.
Now doesn't trust it. Mm-mm. So I had to go there and watch him walk down the steps. Now everything's good.
Everything's okay.
Crisis averted.
Yeah. Those with pets will understand, I'm sure. All right, so I'm going to make my orange for my pumpkins, which is just basically the yellow oxide and Indian yellow hue. And I didn't want just one or the other. These are very close to each other, but when you add white, the yellow oxide is much duller than the Indian yellow hue. I wanted a little bit of a vibrancy, so I went ahead and went with it. Plus the Indian yellow hue can do more mixing. I wanted to have kind of a primary, 3 primaries as slightly. The teal kind of helps bring these closer to a full palette here, just having that kind of teal color. You can also substitute the Ultramarine Blue and Cobalt Teal with Phthalo Turquoise, and it actually works pretty well, but I like to have the Ultramarine Blue just for my grays and things. So anyhow, I'm trying to explain that. I don't know why, but I'm going to put this pumpkin over here, move it over a little bit And I think that'll solve my issue of spacing and maybe make it kind of come up over the edge just a little bit. So let's kind of put it sort of generally in this area here. I think that'll work. So, in the center of it will be sort of right. I think I'm gonna tilt it this way, so it's facing out this way. And that'll kind of counteract that one too. So these two will be kind of facing out opposite. And while we were having the dog crisis, I just added a little bit of this Cobalt Teal mixture. It turned out to be kind of a greenish tone. What? Yeah.
Do you have time for a question about practice pads?
Yep.
All right. So Barbara would like to know if you have something that you could recommend that doesn't soak up the paint.
Yeah, if you want to use, probably the best, it would be getting an acrylic pad. They're meant to be painted on, you know, so they're not going to soak it up quite as much. Any paper is going to kind of soak up your water though, so just in general, but an acrylic one would be what I would suggest using. Let me see, I think I had a smaller one I was going to, I have a small one here.
Specific acrylic one. So is that fine?
The Strathmore one is good, yeah. I think I've also used the Arteza one, and that was pretty nice. I liked it. So there's that, and then I'll see how well it blends. We'll do some white into it. That gives you plenty of time to blend. That's one of the things with paint using paper, is that it just, sometimes it'll soak in as soon as you touch the paper, and then you won't have time to blend it. But this is already drying right here. So it does dry a lot faster. But I am able to blend, so it's doing okay, you know. This would be, let me try it on my practice paper. This is my Canson XL, I think. Let me see. Canson Mixed Media. And we'll just do it down here, do the same thing, use the same papers, pick colors. So I kind of went all the way out until it kind of disappeared, and then got some of so I had that on my brush, and then got some of the white. I got a little bit of water here, so I kind of cheated because I know you need it. But see, that was already dry, so that's not blending at all right now. So I have to add a little bit of that color, and it's lifting a little bit. So this, I definitely think this dried a little bit faster than that acrylic one, but you still get a similar thing. The thing with this is just that, and I did it here because I knew I was going to need to, because I've done it enough on this paper to know you have to add water to your paint. Otherwise it just won't blend. So you just, as long as you kind of know that and just get in the habit of adding a little bit of water before you try to blend, you'll have a little bit extra drying time, and you'll be able to do blending. So, I would get mixed media, thicker mixed media paper. I like the Strathmore Visual Journal. I have a whole set of paintings that I've done on the Visual Journal paper. I did all of my practices on Visual Journal paper for years, until my tendonitis made it so that I couldn't do practices anymore. I can't practice anymore. You get what you get. And they're not going to complain about it right now. Joking. Yeah. No, that's really a joke, because But yeah, the Strathmore visual journal paper, I like it a little bit better than that Canson one that I was showing you just there. So the Canson one I used for color comparisons and things like that, but I don't use it for actually painting usually. I use the Strathmore one for that. Okay, just kind of putting in. This looks very skewed because of the angle of the camera. I'm trying to change the angle because I noticed that my hand is covering up a lot of what's happening in some of the previous paintings. So I'm trying to, it's kind of you get one or the other. You can either have it square to the canvas and look right, and have my hand covering part of it as I'm painting, or you can have it so my hand's out of the way, but it's a little bit skewed, a little bit cockeyed. And I might add like a little bit more magenta here in some of these, like some warmer tones in this yellow pumpkin. If you guys painted along with me, my favorite paintings this season so far has been that little pumpkin that I did for when I was out with surgery. The little mini pumpkin, so cute. Every time I pass it, I'm like, oh, it's adorable. I love painting little pumpkins. I love this time of year. I get to paint pumpkins. It's just one of my, I don't know why I like them, paint them, but I do. All right, just adding a little bit of shadowing there, and I'll add more details later, but that'll just kind of get us started on that. It looks pretty good so far. We're starting to get a little closer to where we want to be. So let's go ahead and do our basket because it's looking kind of frightful right now. And I think I'm going to try it with the flat. And I'm just trying to pick a size brush that will kind of be the size of the little slats that I want in my basket. So this one I think is going to do the trick. And the 4 flat. The flat, different than the bright, isn't just that it's shorter. So this one is a bright. If it was the flat, it would be a lot longer. So the 4 bright in this one is there. So you can see how much shorter the bright is, about half the size to the flat. And the flat will just hold more paint for me. We'll see how it goes. All right, so what color do we want our basket? I think we're gonna, let's do it kind of yellow warm. That's why I did this unbleached, or the yellow oxide, because I think I want my basket to be kind of this color, and then we'll add the burnt umber to it. And I'm gonna mix a lot of it. So that looks pretty good, and then we'll have this unbleached titanium to mix in. And I'm going to leave it kind of streaky, so I'm going to kind of brush through kind of so that I've got a lot of different colors happening on my brush. Here. Let's just see how we do here. Do we like that color? I don't know. I feel like it's a little too yellow. I might grab a little bit of black. Now the black's going to turn my yellow kind of green if I add too much of it, so just have to be careful. I'm going over this area where my pumpkin is. I want to have a darker color. There we go. That looks good. Okay. There. And then let's get a little bit more. And we're going to make a V. So just going to come down like that. So sort of that braid. And I can go over it with a little bit lighter color later. And I don't want to do too solid of color right off the bat either. I kind of feel like I'm getting kind of solid. I want to keep it kind of loose. Getting some unbleached titanium. Do right down the middle here. Highlight that. Okay. Got that shape right, but that's okay. Let me bring it up a little bit. And those beads are going to kind of come down from there, so I'm not going to worry about them. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more of that darker color. Bring it over here and do this side of the basket. Now, kind of goes underneath here with another row of V's, so I'm just going to kind of tuck in where there's a space and do another line of things, and then bring these in like this, make a V. I'm kind of using the edge of my brush here too. Okay. And then they're kind of smushed in here. So some of these are a little bit easier to tell what's going on than others. Some of them are kind of smushed. You can kind of just do your V's back and forth like this if you want. I think I did that one in the wrong direction, but that's okay. No, I guess that's right. Yeah, pretty cool. And I think the key is just to not add too much paint at one time, so kind of leaving that darker showing through, trying to let and kind of keeping it sort of streaky and not so perfect, because these baskets have a lot of character to them. All right, so some of these are coming down, so I'm going to go ahead and do kind of some coming down, and then I think I'm going to continue this one down here. This one kind of splits off and does this down, and then it's got some tucked in here. Like that. Sort of like that. Looks maybe. I think we're getting it.
See, I knew you knew what you're doing. It's looking like a basket now.
Good. Good.
We can say it now because I've unseen it. But earlier when you didn't have the stuff in there, just, like the dark colors, somebody said that their husband said it looked like a pig. And then I couldn't unsee it. It looked like a pig in a basket whistling,
Oh no.
wearing sunglasses.
That's great.
So if you get to that ugly stage, unless that's what you're wanting, then just push through and
Yep.
you'll get this.
Yep. V's. Little V's, just continue to fill them in. When you get to the bottom, just kind of do like a line, you know. Doesn't have to make a shape. You don't have to bring that shape all the way down. It's kind of loses its shape when it gets down to the bottom, so it kind of curves down. And in here, they're kind of all mashed together, so this would be the hardest part here. If you want to, if you don't want to do this part, you could just continue your braid across here, and that would be okay too. You know, if you just want to continue these braids and have them going all the way across and not have them coming down, I think that would be totally fine. It'd be definitely easier. Maybe have a less chance of looking weird. And I'm going outside of the edge when I finish it off so that I'm getting, you know, that shape on the outer edge of my basket. Okay, pretty good. I think we're good. Now let's get some of that unbleached titanium, and I'm going to hit up some of these with some brighter highlights. And just pick the ones that I want to kind of stand out a little bit more. And just put a little bit of the lighter color on them. Okay, looks good. Now, if you get it too light, we can glaze back over them. So I'd say don't worry too much about getting it too light. You just want to make sure that you're leaving a little bit of your dark in between so that you don't lose all of that form. If you lose all these little dark nooks and crannies, then you just have a flat basket. You have a flat shape. And I kind of lost the dark in between here, so I'm going to kind of put that back in right there, in between my little things there. Okay, I think pretty happy with that. Good enough. We'll probably glaze it at the end just to kind of give it a little bit more shape, but I think I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and, if I got a little bit of this greenery, I'm going to just put some of this in this little opening here. And we'll have some leaves coming down over it. Now that we've got our basket in here, we can do whatever we want over the top of it. All right. We're only an hour in, not doing too bad. I'm going to get some white.
I'm doing pretty good.
You're doing good?
Yeah, you haven't
All
been
right.
off screen once, and
Nice. Good job, honey.
keeping your audios as balanced
Thank
as
you.
possible.
Good deal.
I'm enjoying the show.
Very good. Using white here and just adding some little highlights to my pumpkin on the areas where I think the light might be hitting it. It's coming, the light's coming from this direction, so just hitting it up on that end. And let's go ahead and put a little bit of just using the tip of my brush to draw in that center part of the pumpkin a little bit more carefully. It looks good. So I definitely think I need to add, I'm going to get some of this gray here. Remember the base for this one was that unbleached titanium or burnt umber. So I'm going to use that black gray that I was just using for the center, and I'm going to darken up the bottom of this where it's going down in. You'll have a lot more shadow than I had here. And with this type of painting, you don't have to have everything really smooth, so I wouldn't worry too much about, you know, your brush strokes showing. Just kind of get it close. And then like here I've got kind of quite a lot of difference, so I'm just mixing up a color that's sort of in between. And I'm going to put a color that's in between my white and my shadow color here and sort of try to put a little bit of a transition, but that's all you need. Just a little bit of a transition between your light color and your dark. Like 3 colors, dark, medium, and light. And just going back in with my light here. There we go. See, now it's got much more roundness, looks a little bit more realistic. Get a little bit of my blue and my black. I'm just going to kind of put that darker color right in my basket in that area. Okay. And then let's go ahead and use some green here. I'm going to get some white. Mix up my Indian Yellow Hue and a little bit of the magenta to tone it. And we'll put some leaves coming over it right in this area. See that? Now it's kind of got a little bit more. Maybe add some burnt sienna. There we go. Like a little bit darker color. I like it. It's kind of a eucalyptus color. I like that color. That was the Cobalt Teal and a little bit of Ultramarine with burnt sienna. So I need to remember that. All right, let's go ahead. That one's dry, so we can add a little bit more detail on it, and then we'll be able to put in our sunflowers, and then we'll be almost done. And we just have a few little beads and things that we can leave our beads off if we don't want to put them. They're going to be a little bit trickier, so we'll save those for last and see if we have time for them. I want to be able to do them, but I also don't want to rush doing them. I'm trying to finish before 2 hours. So let's get some white and some Indian Yellow Hue. And this is going to be our highlight color on our yellow pumpkin. Or orangey pumpkin. But again, they're all kind of neutral. So again, trying to kind of hit the areas that I think are going to be closest to our light source, which is going to be coming from over here. So somewhere in there like that, I think. And then let's get a little bit of the yellow, Indian Yellow Hue, a little bit of burnt sienna. Okay, my burnt sienna and yellow oxide make a really nice terracotta color, and then adding a little bit of magenta to make it a little bit more vibrant. Just a little bit. You can see right there where I touched over that yellow and it lifted. That meant that was trying to dry and I kind of touched it. So it's fine, it happens, but you may have to leave yours to dry a little bit longer before you try to add this second color in. Just kind of know that that'll happen if your paint is drying and you mess with it. Acrylics don't like to be messed with when they're drying. It's kind of like me when I'm waking up.
Is the Indian yellow the same as yellow oxide?
It's a little bit more vibrant. So if you don't have it, you can add a little bit of a brighter yellow. So if you have a brighter yellow, like a cadmium yellow light or cadmium yellow medium, that'll work instead. So instead of the Indian yellow hue. It's just got a little bit more of a vibrant color. I'll show you the comparison I made earlier because I was trying to decide if I needed it or not. And I decided I did want it. I'll show you why. Here, so this was the Indian yellow with white, and this is the yellow oxide with white. You can see the yellow oxide's a little duller. And then I was trying to mix yellow oxide using Indian yellow to see if I needed the Indian yellow or yellow oxide at all. And this is kind of what I came up with. So I couldn't quite get it exactly. Got it close, but I just decided it's easier just to have them both. So it's just slightly brighter than the Indian yellow hue, or the Indian yellow is slightly brighter than the yellow oxide. So on this one, I'm going a little bit more colorful. This is just my kind of in my focal point area. So I want it to have a little bit more color than some of the other, but if you want to keep it completely neutral, you could do another white one here. Totally fine. It's up to you. So I just add a little bit more of a reddish tone with a little bit of the magenta with that orange color. I'm going to let that dry. We can put in the center little stem though. Kind of spread it out where it touches. It kind of goes down in the nooks and crannies, and then getting some of the highlight color and just highlight on the top and sort of one side. Got more paint there than I thought I did. You can even, I might bring out a little bit of a nub in there that's kind of sticking out. Okay, looks good. We're getting there. I love this background though. I love these colors. I think it's really nice palette. I don't paint with just like neutral colors very often, but I use them in my house all the time. I don't know why I don't paint with them because they're kind of what I decorate with. So I need to paint with them more often. Clear off my palette here. Trying to leave that green. I think it's still workable. If your paint is not fresh, it will just kind of turn to crumbly. So we might as well just clean it off and then try to use it. Ding.
He just has wings.
All right, let's work on our. I think it's time for sunflowers. We'll work on our sunflowers. So I think I'm going to switch to a round brush, and I think that will give me a little bit more control over my petals. So I think I'm going to use the Foreground here in the Aspen. And that's a good, like, chunky size. Like, it's a good, healthy size. Give us some good size petals. So I think I might make, these are kind of a cream color in our picture, so I think I'm going to use some, like a little bit of a yellow to start. So maybe a little bit of those two yellows, or maybe even the Unbleached Titanium. And sort of start there from the centers out, and then go back in with my whiter color I think that'll give us a little bit more room to, you don't want to go straight in with white because it just, you lose all of your depth. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. And I want to make sure, I'm seeing a lot darker color behind my flowers than I have here, so I'm going to get a little bit of that black. I'm going to add it back here, kind of underneath where my petals are going to go. Just make sure I have, I'm not worried about this one so much, just mainly like kind of right in here. Coming up from that. Okay. All right. Don't be afraid of using really dark colors. It's what's going to give your painting more depth. All right, so our shape is going to be out like that. Just going to kind of press down and then lightly lift. Press down and lift. Like that. Okay. And they're all going to kind of be curving in towards the center, so I always want to be sort of pointing them into right here in my flower. And then some of these are actually kind of coming up and then over. So you've got a petal that's like this when it's flat, or like this on the side, but when it comes up towards us, it flattens out on top right here. So we're...
Man, I keep forgetting the sock puppets. Dang it.
Be really...
Or I'm going to put googly eyes on your knuckles or something.
Yeah. That would be scary. That would be a little scary. Okay, and then I'm leaving room to do some over the top of all of these too. So I think that looks pretty close. I think I might want a little bit more yellow. I'm seeing a little bit more yellow in some of these right here. Okay. Maybe one in between there. And then as we come around here, there's kind of a jumble of ones that are kind of overlapping each other. But I just kind of want to keep an eye on this shape and make sure that I'm getting kind of a good shape there. I think that looks pretty close to what I want. Yeah, let's do this other one here. Maybe this one will go a little bit more yellow. Maybe get a little bit of that Indian yellow hue. Just give it a slightly different tone. Now this one's kind of smushed, so it's not got as much room for the petals to show in this area. They're all kind of poking, crowding upwards right here. And then they're kind of coming down right here. Kind of hard to tell what's happening right there. But you can see why we wanted to get that pumpkin done first, because we don't want to have to worry about painting around anything when we get this in. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I might do a little bit darker right here, so I'm going to get a little bit of burnt sienna, I think, and go in here, add some burnt sienna streaks. I still had a little bit of this white on my brush, so it's kind of just kind of adding a little bit of burnt sienna here where they're attaching. Yeah, it looks better. Burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of burnt umber. Okay, this is kind of, you can see how it kind of lost its shape right here a little bit. So I'm going to bring one of those petals over right there. I think that'll help. And then kind of like that. Okay, much better. Kind of when you get all of them in, you can kind of tell better if you need to adjust anything. I love that little touch of burnt sienna in there. That looks really nice. Okay, we'll let that dry. That pumpkin almost is disappearing, isn't he? Might need to give it a little bit more love. Get out some more burnt sienna out of it. What are we at? Okay, we're good. Good on time, I think. Get a little bit more of my brighter yellow, and I'm going to kind of touch up here. I kind of covered it up when I added that dark color in around my sunflowers. Oh, nice. I think I'm going to use a little bit of this color just over here and just give our little pumpkin over here a little bit more of a, just a slight glow. A little bit of yellow in my white here. All right. And then let's go ahead and do some little fuzzy stuff out the side here. I think I'm going to add a little bit of a blue tone to it. I like a little bit of blue when I'm using oranges. It just gives a little bit more of that contrasting color that we'll need. That opposite on the color wheel look, you know. We have some in the background here, so I'm going a little bit more blue even than in the background. I might even go just slightly more blue. Add a little bit of the burnt sienna, or burnt umber, I mean. Actually, let's try the burnt sienna. Burnt sienna and burnt umber, or burnt sienna and ultramarine blue make a different kind of gray than the burnt umber does. So it'll be a little bit different tone than that background blue. Okay. Still think it could go a little bit darker, so I'm just going to kind of mix up a little bit darker tone over here to use. There we go. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like that. Just like a little, this will be kind of that little fuzzy fuzzy flowers that I'm seeing coming out. I'm going to put a little bit up here so I got a little bit of that color up here. Give it some height and movement up top. And think about where we want it, maybe coming out this way. Too. Okay, and get some of that lighter color, maybe a little bit of white, and dab in. Nice. All still in that gray family though. We're not going nothing's very bright or vibrant. Everything's very neutral and toned down. Let's decide what we want to do right here coming out. Maybe just some leaves. I don't know what color. Let's go ahead and do our... Trying to decide what I want to do there. I've got a lot of this reddish color showing too, so I kind of think I want a little bit more of this green that we had going on over there. Maybe do a little bit of a green gold color that would be like Indian yellow hue and turquoise, cobalt teal color. Now that's obviously way too bright, so we can either go with the opposite on the color wheel, which would be like a reddish color, or we can do like a burnt sienna, which has some red in it. So let's try that first and see. That looks nice. Maybe a little bit more to tone it down even more. Okay, there we go. I think it could go even more toned down, just because of our palette's so neutral. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and get in here and maybe, how's it going?
It's going great. We're talking about food, so.
I like it. As you do.
Yeah, that's what we do in the art channels.
I missed out on that.
On the food chat. Yeah.
On the food chat by painting.
We're talking about minimalist sandwiches. Like I told them that you used to have mustard sandwiches.
I did a lot growing up. Yep. Mustard, you had to have it on white bread though. Mustard and white bread. Just completely bad for you. All right, I think I'm trying to decide if I want to go this way or this way. I think I want to go this way, maybe. Just bring down some leaves here and do some kind of, I did those kind of pointy leaves there. So maybe do some just sort of random, like, smaller leaves. And get a little bit of white to cover up. Too. Yeah, that's nice. That'll work. Maybe put some coming up here. I think some berries. Yeah, there's some berries in our picture. I forgot about those. So let's do those berries. Let's do kind of turquoisey color. Let's use a turquoisey blue. Blue-green berries. I think that'll be nice. Nice. Okay. Yeah, they're all coming up right here. Just forgot all about them. It's amazing how you can be sitting in front of a picture and not see a whole section of the image until you get away from it and kind of like, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot that was there. It's wild how our eyes do that. Our eyes kind of interpret the scene around us and make adjustments and fill in the gaps. Watching James Gurney video, and he was like, you know, when he was talking about painting people, he's like, I just put the suggestion of it and your eyes are gonna do the rest, and it helps you to give the viewer something to participate in the I can't remember how I put it, in the creation of the yeah, basically, yeah, the you as a viewer, if you're looking at it, you're participating in it by your brain is kind of interpreting what it's seeing and actively participating in the art, which I never really thought of it that way. I thought it was kind of interesting. I liked it. Okay. Now that teal may be a little bit much, I don't know, but it seems to be okay. Just trying to kind of make sure it's balanced, you know. I'm getting, maybe put a little bit of it on that pumpkin there, that white pumpkin. And I maybe put some of it in my sunflowers, just a little here and there. I'm still waiting for that first layer to dry, so I'm just going to add a little bit of that turquoise to the shadow areas there, and then we'll add the white on top and it'll really pop. Okay, so this pumpkin could actually still use a little bit of dimension, so I'm going to get my white and really make a bright yellow, almost white. Go. Very pretty. Hope you guys are liking this. It definitely looks a little skewed right now, but that's because we've got this place for the beads to come down. So let's go ahead and do the beads or we're going to run out of time. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber and in the unbleached titanium. And go with kind of a medium brown for them. A little bit warmer, a little bit more reddish almost tone to these beads than the basket. So there's some kind of sticking out here that we're seeing through the basket. I like it. Yeah, I think that'll work. Just kind of checking for my tones and stuff, making sure it looks good. And I'm going to paint all over all of these. I just did. I don't know why I painted these here, because I'm just going to be painting over them. Okay. And I definitely think they need to be darker in between. So I'm going to go in and darken up in between with just the burnt umber. And they're kind of almost flattened out a little bit as they meet each other because they're so close together. So they're not looking like a full circle. You know, those beads are cut off at the top as they're, you know, they're kind of cut. And then, so I'm going to do my little tassels. Okay, and then we still have to add our shadow here. That's going to look kind of a little bit funny because we don't have our shadow in here. Let's go ahead and put in our tassel here. Just kind of laying on our table. This is the dark areas, so we still need to add all of our highlights, which will give it a little bit better form. And then let's just go ahead and I'm gonna put my dark areas of my beads in, I think. This burnt sienna, burnt umber here. Okay. I might just do that. I might not put the little part coming out, or I could do some coming down this way, like that it went through the basket and out the other side, but I don't think I'm going to try to fit that loop in there because I don't think I have room for it. So I might bring these out just a little bit more. Getting the white and now just the unbleached titanium here, and adding it on one side of these beads to round them out. Okay. Looking a little stiff, but I think it's okay. Let's go ahead and I think I need a little bit smaller brush, so I think I'm gonna get this. Well, no, I think I need my two here. So I'm gonna get the two round to do the last little bit on the ropes there. And I'm gonna get white and my unbleached titanium and my burnt umber. The white's just gonna, and maybe a little bit of yellow. I feel like it's a little not quite the right color for the rope. Okay. That jute is what I'm. Right. And I'm gonna just dab it down because the jute's kind of braided or twisted, so dabbing it kind of gives it a little bit of separation. I should have done that up there too. Get a little bit of the darker burnt sienna, burnt umber. Gonna do the darker tone on one side. There we go. No, you can go back. I'm going back to it. I just think with this, it's just kind of less is more, just sort of indicating you don't have to do every little detail with rope and things. Or this jute. Kind of. And then on these beads, I'm getting some of that same light color and really highlighting kind of in the same spot all the way up. That will help unify the shapes. If you put that highlight in the same spot, then they look like they're all the same size and shape, even if they're a little wonky, which mine are. So you can kind of fudge it as long as you get that highlight in the same spot. Your eye kind of goes to that and it doesn't see all the other imperfections that are happening. These ones in the basket are really probably not going to be as bright, so.
So I need a bright spot.
I was just waiting for you to comment. Yes.
I need to come up with some new material.
I know all your jokes after 30-something years.
I know.
How many years has it been? 30. Well, we just had our anniversary, right? Of our first date. Oh,
Yeah, 38.
30. Oh, gosh. How is that even possible? I don't know.
It mathematically doesn't add up because we're not that old.
We're not. I know. It's just so weird.
I mean, our first
how
date,
that
we were
happened.
like 1 and 2. So.
Toddlers. 1985. We were just listening to Van Halen and reminiscing about that before the show.
Mm-hmm.
Played on our first date. We bonded over the love of Van Halen. Not love, but appreciation, I guess.
And your cuteness.
And my cuteness.
Yes.
I just liked your sweet Mustang.
That we definitely went on the first date with my friend.
Yeah, he came and picked. I don't know why 2 boys picking me up was better than 1 boy picking me up, but.
Mm-hmm. And that's how it was.
So it went. We were like, we're all going together. There's going to be guys and girls. There was guys and girls.
Yep,
we weren't by ourselves. All right, I need to talk about what I'm painting here instead of just adding little bits of detail here and there. Let's go ahead and go back to our sunflowers. I feel like we're kind of weighted this side of the basket still. I kind of wish I'd put my pumpkin out just a little bit farther. But I think it's okay. It's just, and it may just be I think it might just be the what I'm looking at up there, the angle of that, looking like it's kind of more angled than it really is. What was this color? I can't remember.
What color?
This one right here. I think it was
Brownish green.
burnt. I think I added magenta and ultramarine blue. Yeah, I think that was it. I don't have any Indian yellow hue, but and some white. Yep, that'll do it. Close enough. Maybe a little bit more of the reddish. I just want a couple of those leaves out here. the same look. So it looks like they're kind of out here too. I like it. Maybe add a little bit of so I don't know if the turquoise is throwing me off or if it's, what do they think? Does it look a little too much in the chat?
Somebody said they weren't sure what the turquoise was, but it's
Yeah.
berries, right?
Yeah, it was berries. I just kind of made them a little bit turquoise. Maybe, I think I made them a little too turquoise though. So I might tone them down a little bit. Just get a little bit of the darker color and kind of correcting separation of those beads there. All right, so let's get the Filbert out here and we'll glaze on our basket and add our shadow down here. These need to shadow on the ground here leading up to the basket. So let's do that first. That's the burnt sienna, and it had a little bit of yellow, or I think burnt sienna and magenta was the background color with a little bit of yellow, and then burnt umber and ultramarine blue for the shadow color. So it's kind of all four of those colors.
So did you ask
And
for
some
help?
glaze. I was just trying to decide if I should. I think I'm gonna tone down those
Yeah.
teal berries. Is that the consensus?
Well, we had maybe a little lighter turquoise, and someone
okay.
said that that their attention is drawn to
Drawn to it.
Yeah, so maybe a little
Yeah,
bright.
that's what I'm thinking too.
Then we have a love it as it is.
Just adding some shadow to my basket here. And this is just glaze, so I'm making a shadow color and then adding glaze or water. You don't have to have the glazing medium, but it helps because it kind of helps the paint stick a little bit better and gives you a little bit extra drying time. But I'm going to add that to my underneath my tassels and leading to my basket, and then kind of underneath my basket, and shade a little bit on my basket itself, and especially shading on this side. And I think I want to make it fairly dark on this side, so you can go over everything that you painted there. Let's go ahead and go over the berries and see if that helps tone them down a little bit. And just blend it out a little bit so that it doesn't just end, you know. You want that shadow to kind of round it out. This is why I was saying it doesn't really matter how light you get those highlights. I kind of was already making them sort of get darker as they went around this corner, but then I can glaze on it like this and add even more depth. And then let's shadow this side of the tassels. I kind of want them a little bit darker on that side. And then this tassel shadow kind of goes this way. Okay. Warming up that shadow a little bit with this color. We are very, very close to where I want to be here. All right, getting a little bit of my darker color, and I'm gonna just kind of go over the edge of where those sunflowers start, and then we're going to put our light highlights on my sunflowers, and we're going to be good to go.
So, if people need more of you than just Tuesday nights,
Right.
what can they do?
We have Thursday videos where I go into in depth and teach over several weeks the same painting. I don't know why I'm saying progress. Showing my progress on a painting. We work on it all month long, and we're working on if you go to my social medias, you can always see my current schedule is usually pinned on all my social media, so Instagram and Facebook pages and whatever. But right now we're working on a Bled Island, it's called, appropriately named for Halloween time. That was not planned. It was just happenstance. But it is island in Slovenia, I think, and we're adding a boat, and I don't know. It's going to be fun. So just doing that. Yeah, you can go to thankfulart.com and it'll lead you to, you can see all the different challenge and bonus videos that we have available for our patrons. And then if you want to join, it's an easy click over to Patreon to join up from there. So thankfulart.com is the kind of best way to do it. And if you just search for bonus is the $5 level, challenge is the $10 level, at least right now. The bonus videos are once a month. We'll be doing it in a couple weeks, I think. The 21st, I don't know when that is. A week and a half. We'll be working on a boho Highland cow, and for that, should be a lot of fun. And those are a single time longer video, right. So it's like kind of like what I used to do on Saturdays here on YouTube, but I don't.
It's a 3 to 4 hour video,
right?
All in one shot,
right?
Medium to advanced,
right?
And
then the challenge videos are much more
advanced, more details,
right?
Those can go anywhere from 6 to 10,
right,
plus hours depending on the content.
Exactly.
And then you did this one Saturday in the Facebook group.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you want to join our contest, we got a contest running right now in my Thankful Art group. There's a link down in the description. I showed how to paint this, and I showed we're having you join in by painting your own spooky. You take an existing piece of artwork and you add some spooky elements to it, and so far it's been so cool. Yeah. The people that have been posting stuff in there have just been doing some really cool things. It's going to be really hard to decide, and we're going to have 2 winners that win some art supplies from Princeton Brush.
Thank you to our sponsor.
Thank you to them for supporting this. Yes, for supporting this contest. They were all about it. They liked it. As soon as I said it, they were like, yes.
So the kind of the background is going and buying thrifted art. So something maybe you might find at a yard sale or a thrift store or something. Or you may have something laying around that you've done that you're like, I'm okay with this, and then enhancing it with the holiday stuff.
Exactly.
I like it.
So, yep. It's running for another week and a half, I think. It's going till, about a week and a half or so. So there's plenty of time to still join if you want to get in on that fun contest. All right, so using white now, I'm just going to kind of draw back in towards the center here. Try not to overdo with the white because it can really overpower things. Just using the tip of the brush here to just kind of draw in some highlights. some more yellow. Right. Just adding little brush strokes here on top, not covering everything up, but just kind of adding. I don't like that. That white is really dark. I think it's going to dry a little lighter, but we'll see. I'm not sure if that's going to be what I want. Let's let that white dry and see if it often will dry a little bit darker, so if it doesn't dry darker, then we can glaze over it a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. Kind of seems a little bit too bright. Here, I'm going to get a little bit of the yellow and sort of tone it down in some places. Just kind of transition it a little bit better. Feels like it just doesn't have a transition between that dark and that I added, that shadow color that I added in the white highlights. Just not. There we go. That helps. That helped a lot. Okay, just adding a little bit of the yellow back over it, and then let's add a little bit of this yellow. I'm going to add a little bit of the burnt umber and maybe a burnt sienna. Remember that center was kind of a purpley tone, so I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber in my magenta, burnt sienna, kind of some of these darker tones, maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue. There we go. And I'm gonna dab over the top of the petals to create the shape. Now I'm not going to dab over these ones because these are not, I'm not seeing, but these ones I am seeing. So I'm going to round out this shape here. See that? These ones are coming up over, so I don't want to put my color over the top of them. And then these ones leave all of this, but then right about in here, we're going to start to see the center here. And kind of dab it over the edge of those petals so that the center is raised up a little bit and covering up those petals just slightly where they come down in. Adding that lighter magenta-y tone. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of this color in some leaves because I think that'll kind of tie everything together a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of white and just add a few little, and this is kind of our background color too, so I don't like that. Right there, where are all my paper towels? Got no paper towels. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're right at 2 hours. We need to end. We need to quit. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of yellow to this magenta color and just dab a little bit of highlight on my center of the sunflowers. Just a oval circular shape there, and a little bit right here. No. Trying to decide how to get that color in here without... Maybe I think I need to make it more dark. Just getting the right shape here too. Let's just do a little leaf, I think. Okay. Just a couple little leaves. Yeah, that works. Okay, just a couple there. You see how that darker color kind of helps tone everything else out. And a little bit of it's peeking through in this basket too, so that's good. And then we can just go in these teal berries here. I think I like them better now that I have the sunflowers done, but I can tone them down just slightly with a little bit of burnt sienna. Burnt sienna and teal are a really good combo. So I'm just gonna kind of put berries that burnt sienna will help tone them down. And then I can go back in with a little bit of the lighter color if I think I need to. Yeah, that helps a lot. Get a little bit of white, add it to that toned down turquoise. Sienna and turquoise. So hopefully you kind of got some ideas for maybe ways to adding, changing up colors to make them a little bit more neutral. It's always really helpful to have kind of some idea of how to do that, because sometimes your colors, usually colors in nature are not going to be like super vibrant all the time, and the colors straight out of your tube are oftentimes, quite vibrant unless they're pre-mixed. But, most of the ones that I use are pure pigment colors, and so they're going to be really vibrant and not necessarily suitable to use straight out of the tube. You're going to want to tone them down, mix them, and this is, we've kind of showed you in this video, hopefully, a few different ways of doing that, and using the complementary colors, using other neutrals like browns and things to kind of create this beautiful palette of very neutral, muted colors, but just really beautiful. I hope you really like this one. I thought that was really fun. I might add just a little bit. See how the basket is a little bit more golden toned? I might just glaze a little bit of gold on top of it while Mark's doing his thing there.
Doing that thing, which is super chat.
Super chat? What? Excellent. I think there's a bug stuck in there.
Brought out the cowbell this week.
Something got stuck in there. What?
Said brought out the cowbell this week.
Nice. The actual cowbell.
The actual cowbell.
Nice.
Not the recording of the cowbell.
Nice. I like that better.
Which is that cowbell just...
Yes.
Anyway, this is from Cindy. She says, perfect painting for a misty seasonal change in Lone, California.
Oh, very cool.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
It's awesome.
I like it. Yeah, it definitely feels like fall. I'm super excited to be painting pumpkins again.
Yep, the weather cooled down here, and we immediately made a soup.
Yep. Literally, first day.
Set our jalapeno bread, and just...
Yep.
We can have the oven running and not heat up the house.
Right.
Or, more than it was during the summer.
Right. All right, I'm going to use this Indian Yellow Hue and just maybe on my basket area, just add a little bit of that brighter yellow, just in a couple of places here. Yeah, that looks good. Kind of ties in with this a little bit. All right, there we go, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you paint it. It's really fun, I promise. It's got a lot of parts to it, but I think if you take it in steps like we did, it's not too bad. It's probably, well, you know, obviously you can kind of tell by the amount of time it takes me to paint something, how long it's going to take you to paint something. So you want to add like pretty much double the time, because you're going to have to stop and start and that kind of thing. You're not going to be able to watch it straight through. So it's definitely in the mid range. I don't think it's a super easy beginner lesson. It's going to be kind of in the more moderate difficulty lesson.
You got a few paintings under your belt.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't take this on as your first painting.
But don't let it scare you either.
Right. No, and you never grow if you don't challenge yourself, you know. Yeah. You'll always stay the same. So yeah, there we go. I think that I really like this one. I think it turned out better than I was expecting, so that's good. I wasn't sure what to expect, if it would translate. Sometimes things don't translate very well into a painting, and so I was hoping this one would. I think it did.
Yes.
I think it was fun. Hope you guys tried it. All right, thanks.
Like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Come back for more. We're always doing these on Tuesday nights, so tell your friends. Come and chat with us, with your friends.
Exactly.
It's a date. All right. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.